What is up, guys? It is Lifted, and in today's video we got another episode of Cracked. And before we get started, I'm just going to show you some of the tools we use to get these slabs open. So we have the tile cutters, sewing scissors to carefully cut the Beckett sleeves, and then a flathead screwdriver and a microfiber cloth too to wipe the cards. So if you didn't know, now you know. And continuing where we left off, we had a Beckett return come in. And unfortunately, like every single card got a 9.5, and it sucks that we didn't get any pristines even more because a lot of those were reattempts. So now we're regrading the regrades. So we're sending them to PSA now, so it should be an easy crossover. But yeah, a little tedious process here, but it'll all be worth it. I mean, if the value difference between a 9.5 and a PSA 10 is more than the cost of grading, then I would suggest you do it, because from a seller perspective, like, it'll be easier to move and you might get a bit more out of it. But personally here, I was just doing it for the sake of my own collection. I wanted the 10 set. So yeah, today we'll be giving you a bit of a comparison between the different grading companies and providing some of the pros and cons of each service. And since we got a lot of Beckett cards in front of us, they'll kind of be our focus, but we will be making a lot of comparisons to PSA because they are technically like the industry standard. So love them or hate them, they are doing something right over there. They got a big hold over the market. But yeah, so to get started, Beckett, you know, you got the biggest chase. That's a great addition to why people would submit to you guys. Like, there's a lot of value behind their black label, and if you can hit that grade, if you're very lucky, then there will be some good money behind it. But one of the cons would probably be that they're very harsh on grades. They don't give out as much 10s as you would like. You know, if they got more 10s going out and people were more satisfied with their orders, then you would have a greater share of the market. More of these mainstream submitters would feel more confident to use your service. But with these harsh grades, it's very difficult to make money. Like you're seeing here, I'm turning these 9.5s into PSA 10s because no one's gonna want the 9.5. If it's a newer card, then you need to hit that pristine grade. And like, there are some good 9.5s out there. Like if you got like an older card that's like closer to a 9 condition on the PSA scale, then that'd be a great 9.5 to have. But for the most part, when you get that 9.5, you're kind of taking a loss, and that's bad for business. I mean, people want clean grades. They chase that 10. And when you get a submission from Beckett, they got all those 0.5, so there's a ton of different grade variations. And not only do they look kind of ugly, but it kind of makes it harder to build a set. So if you got an issue that's affecting the collectability of your holders, that's a pretty bad sign for a grading company. So my solution to Beckett would just be that you got to give the people what they want. Like, you're not giving out enough 10s. So for the pristine grade, instead of doing 3 10 subgrades and a 9.5 qualifying for pristine, maybe allow 2 9.5s and 2 10s be the new pristine grade. I don't think that would affect the current market, and people would be much more satisfied. You'd get more of those mainstream graders sending their cards in, and it would be a great thing overall because it would also clean up the muddiness of the 9.5 grade. You got cards that would be PSA 10 for sure, that just barely missed pristine. And then you also got cards that would definitely be like a PSA 9 or less. That all shouldn't be under the umbrella of 9.5. So I think that would clean things up a bit. Another pro for them would just be that they got really nice holders. I love that your card is sleeved on the inside. It's got a great display. They got the silver and gold labels. That's a great thing. And, you know, pricing and turnaround, that's pretty similar to what PSA's got going on. So no complaints there. And one more negative as we transition to PSA, because they do charge you up front. And that's another thing that's pretty bad for business. Like, you might be down a few $1,000s while you wait for your cards. Meanwhile, at PSA, I'm getting charged when my cards are on the way back, and I'm making sales before the credit card bill hits. So right off the bat, that makes it a real stress-free process. So when you submit to PSA, you get to see the cards go along each step. And when they're received, you get the images of your cards. And by the time your grades are revealed, you can get the scan of the slab itself. And that's great because you can use that for selling your stuff or posting on social media. And that's a really cool, like, third dimensional aspect of their service. So I really appreciate that. And as of recently now, they have a buyback program. So you can now have instant liquidity. So yeah, you can sell your cards back to PSA for honestly a fairly competitive rate. And there is a little bit of controversy around that right now, which I won't get into. I think it's getting blown out of proportion pretty ridiculously, but you know, PSA is going to make mistakes, and you know, that's an inevitable side effect of grading 10 times more cards of your competitors. You're going to have more mistakes. And the eye appeal aspect is a pro and con because it ties into that. Because it's great to have eye appeal grading. I think that's how each grading company should approach the hobby. But you know, there's going to be additional mistakes and subjectivity that come as a result of that. And to compare tag and AI grading, before I criticize them, I will say that it's nice that tag provides like a detailed description of why your card received that grade. But on the downside, AI grading sucks. Like, you're getting your score detracted pretty significantly by flaws you cannot see. And that's another kind of thing when you're chasing pristine grades, like aside from the centering and the surface corners and edges, like you're not going to see what they're going to hold back against you. So when it comes down to AI grading, it's going to be a shit show for a long time. And PSA could adopt that for the sake of centering. Maybe that would speed up their process. Maybe the graders wouldn't have to measure everything. So that's probably a good thing. But I mean, eye appeal grading is the way to go for sure. Like, you need like an expert's like educated opinion on each card, because there are going to be different print runs, different sets, different flaws that might come naturally to each set. And you know, maybe a flaw is very hard to see. Maybe the texture or the design of the card hides the flaw very well. So it's up to that expert opinion to make that judgment call. And you know, you're gonna get a grade that's more so in your interest. So that's why people love PSA. They got like a more like fleshed out population, and there's so much more data that comes out as a result of it. So you can more accurately assess the value of what you have. And when you go into the market, there's more buyers and they know what's a fair price, and it just makes so much more cohesive market. So essentially, PSA's got a lot of good things going on with their service. It's very user-friendly. It's very newcomer-friendly. I mean, if you know what you're doing, regardless of what grading company you use, there will be success. But there is a greater tier of difficulty and level of expertise that it takes to submit with Beckett and consistently get cards that will be profitable to where you can get like black labels and pristines and actually get the cards people want. So yeah, PSA, like the subjectivity and their eye appeal aspect is the pro and con, but overall their service is borderline flawless. I don't like that they're collaborating with GameStop for these mystery bags and shit. But aside from that, their service overall is a model that people should look up to. Well, we'll let you know what happens next week and reveal the grades. So stay tuned. We got some cool stuff on the way. Subscribe if you're new. It's been lifted, and I'll catch you next time. And I'm out of here. Peace.